How did I get through the most difficult season of my life? Welcome back to Scars and Victories, the journey. In this chapter, we will be talking about how did I get through this difficult season. And I want to share with you two practical tools that I applied as often as I could and the effect they had. And then I will share in depth a little bit more about each of them. But before we start, I want to point out something really important to you. And that is that I did not decide to only do one big thing to get me through this. I did a lot of small things on a continuous basis. So I applied them as often as I could to see the effect and feel the effect within the season so that I could get through it and so that I could grow through it. So that is something really important for us to remember is it's not about one big decision. It's about lots of small decisions we make, and are we able to continuously apply them and stick to them. So it is amazing for me because for me personally, I feel that God does not place me in these situations for me to just pray and hope and trust and believe that He will get me through it. That is a big part of it. But that on its own feels to me it's not what He wants, because I need to do my part as well. I need to get up each day, do something, move, make a decision, decide to grow. I mean, He could have met me on that bathroom floor telling me that I need to grow through the season. And all I could have done is said, okay, God, please help me grow. Just let me grow. And I just don't believe that that's how it works. I believe that we need to partake in this relationship that we have with Him, because it's a relationship. He does something, we do something. He says something, I participate to try and grow, to figure out, to take it to Him, yes, to pray about it, yes, to trust Him in it, yes. But I need to take the steps. I need to actively be involved in this relationship for me to grow. So before I tell you tip number one, I used to see a neuro life coach just before I got married. And then I got married and everything happened, and I was feeling overwhelmed and I was feeling defeated and so much more. And I made the decision to go back to my neuro life coach to see him again. And boy, what a smart move. I think that was such a smart decision from my side, is to say, I am coming to see you again. And I stuck with him for well over a year, that I went to go and see him sometimes every second week, sometimes every third week. But I tried to continually see him so that he could also guide and help me through the season. You see, taking that step. So there were many benefits in me going to see him, but he gave me lots of tools and techniques for me to apply during my everyday to make things a bit easier for me. He also helped me to enlarge my emotional capacity, which is something I'll share in a video later on. But some of the tools and techniques were difficult for me to apply, and I think where I was functioning at and how I was feeling was making it difficult for me to understand the whole concept of everything he was giving me. But this one thing really stuck, and this one thing felt like something small that I could apply. And the more often I applied this to my life, it really helped so much to take just a lot of that pressure off, to take a lot of that feeling overwhelmed off of my plate. And I I realized that it might sound like something small, because it is something small, but the impact it had was so big. And this I only started understanding later on. But the moment I saw that this was working, I decided this I am going to continue to do. And that was breathing properly. Now it sounds simple, but when we start to breathe properly, we could let our nervous system and our brain know that we are safe. So, functioning out of a place of overwhelm and feeling frustrated, irritated, and this one triggered very often, breathing properly really just helped me reset my nervous system. So, it was something I intentionally decided to go do during the day when I was in a stressful situation or things at work was just chaotic. I would take a step back and I would take 3 deep breaths and sometimes do a cycle of 2 or 3 until I felt the relief of now I can think again, feel again, and not be triggered or overwhelmed so easily. So I want to explain the breathing to you for if you decide to go and use it in your everyday life or in the season that you are in, and to be curious to see does it help you and how do you feel. I'm going to do it once for you to see, and then if you want, do it with me. So we always breathe in through our nose and out through our mouth. We always fill our lungs so that we can push our diaphragm to our nervous system so that my nervous system knows that I am okay. So, just a quick one is you cannot breathe deep when a lion is chasing you. You just cannot. It's just not possible. You'll be running or you'll be jumping up a tree, but you will not be breathing deeply, or you might even freeze. But when we breathe deep enough, we can let our nervous system know that I am safe, and that sends a signal to my brain that says, okay, I am safe. So breathing deeply through our nose, filling our lungs from our stomach to our chest, and then the last little bit we're just going to force in, and then we're going to hold for 3 and then out. And I normally do them 3 times and then a cycle of 2 or 3 depending on how many I need. So let's do them together. I normally place my hand on my stomach and then my hand on my chest to show my clients what it looks like, because when I breathe in the first time, I don't want my chest to move. So it looks like this, not like this. So I first fill my stomach, then my chest, then the last bit, and then hold for 3. And then we can do them without the hands. Nice deep breath in, then again, then again. And those you do as many as you want, and the effect it has is amazing. So that was the first thing that I really implemented as often as I could.
So, I'd like to take a quick moment to ask you, what would you like to know more about this story that I have shared with you? Is there any questions you have that you would like for me to answer in the next video? And then I want to tell you, in the next video, I will be sharing and talking about another story that happened to me, and we'll be looking at that one in detail as well.
The second thing was to journal. Now, this is another small thing. It is something I could do any time of the day. It was something I could do at night before I go to bed. And one of the biggest things when journaling was for me to intentionally be thankful. There is something that shifts within our emotional state and our brain when we are thankful. I think on a spiritual level as well, we have such an effect of being thankful for the small and the big. So I always ended off my journaling with being thankful. And it was amazing for me to see this because I have kept all my journals and I went through them preparing and making sure that I share what is needed and going back into that season, preparing these videos the proper way to make sure that I share with you as real as possible, although most of them are so part of me. But there were a few details that was was great for me to see again, to actually look back and say, wow, I've made it. Um, but when I looked at the journals to see how I could get to a place of being thankful almost every day, even if it was just being thankful for a good day at work, being thankful for the drivers, being thankful to get through another day, being thankful for the food that I had, the house that I had. There was so much to be thankful for. And I know in a season of difficulty, this is sometimes one of the hardest things to do, is to be thankful for the things that are going right, the things that I am capable to really do today when maybe tomorrow I'm not capable to do it. So the being thankful is a big part of the journaling. I also journaled quite a lot of how my days went, what I was feeling, journaling in a sense of the loss that I had, what I was feeling towards that, and speaking to God about that, getting angry at God, and then afterwards God bringing me to repentance because it was not His fault. And actually looking back on the journals and being in a place where you can go and read it, I think you learn so much about the season, yourself. And in that time, journaling has had so much benefit for me. Did I know it at the time? No, I didn't. But till today, I journal quite often, and I'd love to share with you some of the some of the positive things of journaling and what happens within our brain and what happens to us when we journal. You see, one of the things is it calms the brain's threat system. Now, that's huge. If you think of the season that I was in and everything I was facing, to calm the brain's threat system, sorry, is something quite amazing. Because that was one of the biggest things that I was facing. Everything felt like a threat. Then also strengthens the thinking brain. It helps process emotions. That was a big one because I was feeling so many different emotions on a regular basis that this was actually helping me process those emotions and taking off some of the load. It builds self awareness, it increases emotional capacity, it interrupts rumination. So you don't go and sit and just the whole time go into this negative loop of everything and thinking about it or remembering something and always trying to remember it. The moment you write it down, your brain considers it as filed. So now, when I've been thinking about, let's take a small example, 5 things I need to go and get at the supermarket, and I've been telling myself over and over, don't forget, you need to get this, you need to get this, you need to get this. The moment I write it down, it is done. I don't have to think about it again. Up until later, when I need to go and recall that, it will either still be in my memory or I can go to my piece of paper and go and have a look at it. But it's not something that's going to interrupt me in the middle of a meeting. It's not something that's going to keep me up at night because now I have written it down. My brain feels calm about it, and my brain feels that we can actually let this go now. We've dealt with this, which is quite something amazing if you think about it. The emotional side of journaling, and listen to this, this is quite interesting. So it mm, it helps you to have less anxiety, so it often decreases anxiety. It also helps you to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. It helps you feel less overwhelmed and more in control. It helps you to understand yourself, gradually become more optimistic and emotionally resilient. Emotionally resilient. Do you know how many people in today's life need to be emotionally resilient? Because there's so many things that are going on out there that sometimes we are not resilient enough emotionally to be able to deal with it. So that's quite a big one. And then more capacity to be able to handle everything. Wow, that is a big one. Um, so those are the 2 things that I implemented as often as I could. They weren't huge things, but they were things that I could implement daily, small things that I could continuously do that really helped me a lot. So I would love to just recap everything that we have shared in these last 2 to 3 videos, just for you to remember them again, and then for you to see what is there that you could go and apply to your daily life. And then maybe you can let me know in the comments below what stood out for you. What are you going to go and try and see if they work for you? So in the first video, we talked about being intentional, intentionally going to learn something in the season that you are in. In video number 2, we actually spoke quite a lot about how I got to a place of submitting to God and giving everything to God, being as real as possible with God, saying that this cup is way too heavy for me to carry on my own and I need your help, and seeking Him intentionally in His Word, in worship, in just speaking to Him, sitting with Him, crying with Him, and giving Him my burdens, and then also seeing that making the decision to take it day by day, if we can just get to tea time, if we can just get to lunchtime, if we can just get to supper, how that made a difference in just taking it day by day and not overwhelming myself about what happens in 2 months or 3 months time. Then also a big one that we discussed in the last video is it's okay not to be okay. And I think in today's life, we are very quick to say when someone asks you, how are you doing? And you're going through a difficult season, just to say that I'm okay. Meantime, you are breaking on the inside and feel like you're falling apart and you're fighting this battle alone. I want to say to you that it is okay not to be okay. And then in today's one is to take with you 2 practical steps that you can go and apply. And those practical steps are breathing, intentionally breathing, breathing properly, and then journaling and being grateful for small things. So, like I said, I'd love to know what stood out for you and what you are going to go and try and implement in your life. Until next time, keep walking, keep growing, keep becoming. I'll see you on our next step in our next chapter.